This podcast discusses paranormal activity and other topics some might find disturbing. Listener discretion is advised.
Is it a chill or a ghostly breeze? A knock, a tap, what do you believe? Ghosts, gossip, gather around where the lost and the haunted are found. Ghosts, gossip, don't make a sound. Truth or tales, we'll dig it out.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ghost Gossip. Today I have special guests with me. I just want to say, when I started TikTok, I hate TikTok. Y'all know that, but when I started TikTok, I had very few followers, and I met Perceived Paranormal pretty quickly into my TikTok journey, and here they are with me. It's like full circle moment, almost a year later. Hello and welcome.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming on. I know we've been talking about this for, I guess, since December. I think we tried starting it up, so it's been just months in the making.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here.
Well, introduce yourselves for everybody.
So my name's Alyssa. I'm one of the co-founders of Perceived Paranormal. Myself and my best friend has started Perceived Paranormal roughly going on 2 years ago. She's from Kansas, came out to visit, and while she was out here, we went ghost hunting with a friend of ours. She bought some gear, and next thing we know, Perceived Paranormal was born. So we're Perceived Paranormal East Coast. She's Perceived Paranormal Midwest, and by default,
Yes. I'm Dan. I'm Melissa's husband, and I'm the other member of Perceived Paranormal East Coast. Again, I just got dragged into this because if the wife wants it, then the wife gets it. So she needed somebody to investigate with. Her friend went back to Kansas, so I came in kind of as a skeptic and was like, you know what, this seems like it'll be fun. Let me tag along. And it's been a lot of fun since then.
Well, that's awesome. My husband is my resident skeptic. That's what I call him. My little resident skeptic.
and he's a Dan too, right?
Daniel. Yeah.
Must be a Dan thing. You guys just get roped right in.
They're good men. They're just like, okay.
I guess so. We're doing this.
Well, my Daniel, he was pretty heels dung in for a little while. You know what I mean? Like it took him having experiences of his own in our haunted house to get him to kind of come around. Because at first he was like, no, it's a bug. And I'm like, it's not a bug. I don't know how many times. I'm going to make merch that says it's a bug. Because it just makes sense if you've listened at all. Like, it's like, oh my God, Daniel, it's not a bug. But anyway, I digress. I could just bitch about that for hours.
We'll do another show on that.
Yes, every time he discounted me and was like, it's a bug, he almost became a resident spirit as well. But anyway, so have y'all been doing this longer than 2 years, or was it just you got into it 2 years ago, or were you like interested in it before?
So I had experiences growing up. I always kind of tell this story of how I got into it. So early on, I remember going to my library, I think like first or second grade, and I literally every week, and this should have been like a clue I was neurodivergent, but I would check out the same book. Like there were signs. I would check out the same book literally all the way through fourth grade. And the book was Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, spirits, and then I would always get this crystal book, on rocks. And so I remember growing up, my grandfather and I would always look for rocks, or if we went out together, or they would buy rocks for me. And so these were really like the two books that I gravitated towards, but I was very fixated very much on the spirit and the ghost side of things. As I got older and my parents, gave me some more freedom with TV, I would, watch things. But one of my first experiences I do remember with the paranormal was probably around 7 or so. I remember seeing a UFO. By the time I ran back inside to get my parents and come back out, like it was gone. So that was like the first time. And then over the course of my life, I had these little like micro experiences. I remember being in, I must have been like 21 or 22. The guy I was dating at the time, I remember him and they were having a party. Me and his sister went up to her bedroom, grabbed something. We both went to walk into the bathroom. At the same time, we both jumped into the bathroom at the same time. And I didn't tell her what I saw. We jumped into the bathroom together, and I turned out, I was like, did you see that? She goes, yeah, the little girl. And I thought I was seeing things because, we were having a good time, and drinks were flowing. So I just like, maybe I'm seeing things. And nope, she saw the same thing as me. And so like over the years I had experiences, lived with his grandmother and took care of her. She had dementia, and so we were her caretakers, and a few times like I saw a man which I described to him as his grandfather.
She never met him.
I had never met him. So there's been things over the years. So I identify as a witch. I'm definitely gifted, but when I do the paranormal, I try to separate the two. I've always kind of been that way. I just think, I'm a detective's daughter, so naturally I lean more into the detective end of things when I'm investigating. I work in a field that is very evidence-based, data-driven, so I put that hat on a lot of times when we do this work. But I think leading up to us doing this work, I kind of had that lens. So the more I dove into that and my own spiritual practices, it kind of shaped, how I interact, or how I believed we should interact with the world. But it really wasn't anything per se formalized. So I was sick. I was bedridden for about 8 years. I had a condition that's now in remission called CRPS, complex regional pain syndrome. And so during that time, I was promised myself, like, if I didn't die and I got better, like I would chase my dreams. And part of that was becoming an investigator. And so when I got better, there's an opportunity to be on a TV show. Unfortunately, that didn't pan out. But it really just kind of like sparked that, like, you know what, I need to chase my dreams. Like, it's now or never. Like, I guess we're doing this in my mid-30s, and we're going to figure it out, and we're going to have fun with it. And so part of my journey of getting better was my best friend, Krista, who I had started it with. When she was out here and we met for the first time, she kind of said to like, oh, we should do this. And so that's really when Perceived Paranormal, something more formalized, was like formed. But I've gone in and done cleansings and helped folks remove spirits out of their homes. I do a lot of like home blessings and things like that. So over the years, I've just had different exposure, but nothing really formalized until about 2 years ago. So, and like I said, by default, you got roped into it. So
Because when we met, I had no desire to be around the paranormal. I didn't like it.
we had those
Our
experiences.
first,
in the house.
yeah, our first
Our
apartment was
apartment.
haunted. Then when we lived with my grandmother, when she told me she saw my grandfather, like she described him to a T, like what he would wear, the particular shirt he would wear. So I just remember her telling me that at like 3 a.m, and I had to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, I might go outside. Like I don't want to see, like, I love you, Grandpa, but like I don't want to see your ghost, any of that kind of stuff. Over the years, I've seen some ghosts where I work, full body, felt things, seen things move. But coming into this, I don't know. I think I came in as a skeptic and wanted to debunk everything. And I think now,
You're much more a believer. And I've gone the other way,
yeah,
I think. So
yeah,
it's interesting how I think certain experiences shape and change the way you investigate. And I think being around, even just seeing how other investigators do it, or other folks in the field, their approach, like we're always trying to challenge our methods. What we used to use or what we used to do, that doesn't quite work for us. Or we're like, hey, let's level it up. Let's take it up a notch, which I've written some blogs on, like, okay, like now we know better, so let's do better. We know, for example, and I did the you can't use a walkie-talkie around a REM pod, and so of course that has ruined like every TV show, Project Fear and all these things that we enjoyed watching for entertainment.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't know if I can trust this now, but
Nope.
we try to challenge ourselves, and we try to grow, and we try to utilize different approaches. And as we bring in different people to investigate with us, friends, family, other investigators, that also changes our perspective and the way we approach things. So we're forever learners. I don't think there's ever, you can be a professional in the sense of you're going to present professionally, but I think there's no pros, or you don't have like a doctorate in ghosts. It's not a thing. So I don't know. We're forever learning. That's for sure.
yeah. I think that's what makes it fun as well.
Yeah, I always tell people I'm a forever student. Like, and I love when people say, like, if somebody in the paranormal tells you they are a professional or an expert, don't believe them, because there's no way you can be an expert in this field because you can't prove it.
100%.
Till we're there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And it's just like, and that's you. Yes, you ruin REM pods for me for sure. And that video, I watched that video and I was like, well, shit. Okay. And so
Yeah.
now all my REM pod does is hold my flashlight for Roberta there.
And it's funny, right? Like all these pieces of equipment when you're first starting off,
Mhm.
even like a K2 sometimes,
Ugh.
I think again, you got to find your baseline. It's really knowing your equipment and like where and how to use it. But like we've been in spaces, I've gone to spaces where I was investigating with someone who's very well known in the field. And we, as much as that particular spot wanted us to deem it haunted, we walked away and said, well, we can't because there was so much interference. You had all these
Mhm.
cameras running every time, you were on, there was like it was a property that's side by side. It's a townhouse. So it's like they were on the other side. How do I know you're not watching on the cameras and making things go off with different radio frequency? Like, I don't know. And so like, I think that's the biggest thing that we've learned is it's very hard to control your environment. And even when we were at SK Pierce, as much as we would love to say certain things, there's still that part of me that goes, well, we weren't fully controlling. So again, going back to the constantly challenging yourself, the things that you kind of go in and you learn for equipment, you start going, is this really as reliable as you think? There's a time and a place, and I think you can utilize everything. It's just really being mindful and very intentional of how you're using it and
Mhm.
what you're hoping to get out of it. And are you being biased in that? The best is bringing in people that have no idea and who are skeptic
Mhm.
because they're going to challenge every angle. So that's why I get excited to bring people in who are very skeptical because they're going to be the first to find the things or see the things that maybe we don't anymore or maybe
Right.
is not on our radar.
Right. And that's why I really like the lights, like the cat balls and the flashlight that you have to twist and stuff. Those are people
Yes.
ask me what my favorite. That's those of equipment.
We always
That's
say
my
flash.
favorite because like her cat balls. Like I mean, like I can just there it goes. Like to me, when it's sitting 20 feet from you and there's nothing around, and then all of a sudden it just starts lighting up, but it's like
Right. On command, which we'll have
exactly.
video of that from SK Pierce to show you. It's
Oh,
pretty
cool.
wild.
Speaking of Escape here, so I guess we'll just jump into this. Y'all went there. You went there twice. You went
Yes.
January?
We went January 10th and then we went back on February 28th. So a little over a month in between. So two totally different experiences. They were both great. We're hooked.
Yeah.
I'm already ready to go back.
Okay. So my past is also in judicial. So worked for the federal court system for 15 years. So I'm like you, like that detective mindset. Always, I got this is so horrible. I was always like, well, what you do? Anytime somebody well, what did you do? You're sitting here. Oh, I didn't do it. I'm innocent. That's what they all say. Just saying. But yeah, so I have that same mind frame. And when it has ruined me, so when I go with investigators, I'm constantly like, I'm looking in the rafters, I'm looking under tables. I'm like, have you set some shit up that's going to screw with my equipment? And I'm not an investigator, but I find that people do. And that
Yeah.
makes me sad.
It does. It does when some things get sensationalized or even like, we've gone to certain locations where someone's been like, whoa, we believe there's a portal here in the basement or something like that. And I'm like, well,
Oh,
who told you that?
right.
Oh, well, we had a couple mediums come in and they told us that. And I'm like, yeah, but like that's not a science. Like there's no concrete proof or, so this event occurred right here. Well, was it documented? Like was there a police report? Was any
Did you document it?
so
Prove
I
it.
yeah, the more we do it, I think that's where we become, the skeptic
Yeah.
kicks in even more,
It's not that your
brings us back
experience,
down to earth.
right. It's not that your experience isn't real.
Right.
It could be very real and it could be very paranormal, but there's that part of me like we wouldn't be good investigators if we didn't challenge or ask all the questions.
Yes. I think
It's
I
not from
annoy
a
some
place
people.
of saying we don't trust you. It's more of
Right.
a place of we want to find a source. And if we can't, then yeah, maybe it is paranormal.
Yeah. I think I annoy some people because they will send me things. And my first question is that real?
Hmm.
Done that several times. And I think I disappoint them because I think there's an impression of me as a podcaster that I'm just going to believe anything because I am a believer because I've had so many experiences because I do believe a lot of the stuff that I've experienced is paranormal, especially in my last house. But when you're just sending me something and I have zero context, I wasn't there, and there might be some trust not there with that person or that place, it's like, um,
Yeah, I need more.
so, SK Pierce, just to start out, in your non-professional, professional, as in not professional, but professional, and as you do this a lot more than like I do you think SK Pierce is haunted to start off?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's probably the first place that I can truly say, especially the second time we went back, we were so intentional and so structured in the way we did it, and we controlled so many different things. I I can walk away and say, yeah, I do.
Cool.
Yeah, and that's a cool thing. That's why I want to go back.
One thing I think we can both agree on is neither of us, the 2 times we've been there, neither of us have felt anything that we thought was malevolent, that was evil, that was trying to. I think a lot of what we were dealing with was residual, but we did have what I felt was intelligent conversation with a spirit or something like that, something paranormal.
Okay, well, let's talk about it. You want to do like each one, or do you want to just talk about both as like collectively?
I say we separate them
Okay,
because two totally different approaches.
perfect.
So the first one we went in was a little less structured, which I think is kind of a good way to start. We had watched some stuff, but like we actually are not like most people. We do not want to spend a lot of time researching a space before we go in because
Mhm.
I don't want to have certain things in the back of my mind. I know how I am and I will get in my head. So part of the CRPS really is being able to control your nervous system, which obviously is your fear response. And so I always say the best thing that I've gained from this is actually gaining a lot more skills and being able to challenge my mindset and my fear response and the mind games that happen when something unexplained is, taking place. And so I think for me, I didn't want to go in and have information and have that drive. We kind of had general ideas of certain things. There's the closet in the billiards room. That's, popular. There's the basement where, the washroom where the well is. We had basic information, but we did not deep dive into it because I really didn't want that to drive a lot of it. Now, when we got there, we ended up doing the tour, which was great, but there is that part of me, I think, in hindsight that like I wish I didn't do the tour right out the gate. I think it would have been cool, like, hey, this is so and so's room. Here's some basic, but like the details, I think I would have been okay without, and maybe doing the tour at the end.
Mhm.
As we went through, we did the tour. There was definitely like hot spots that were, laid out. I would say we focused on really three areas. It was the billiards room and the closet. I would say it
Basement.
was the
The
basement.
killing room.
Yeah, the two rooms in the basement. Those are really, I think, kind of the hot spots. And then the library or the men's parlor space. So those were really where we spent a majority of our time. It was great because everybody involved had very different styles. So it was cool to see like how people do things. I think for me, and the thing that stands out the most is like I walked away from that, and multiple times I turned to my buddy Pat, who's our photographer, and I said, I don't really feel anything. Not really convinced. Like, okay, the candle's going on and off. Okay, the REM pod's going on and off. Okay, the bells go on and off. The SD sessions, okay, like, yep, there's some stuff there. We did like a dual one, but it wasn't until I went back and started looking at stuff, like I walked away going, I don't know if this was worth it. It was our first time really spending money on a space. So I was like, I don't know if this was worth it.
That was a long car ride home
Yeah.
because it was a lot of, I don't think we got anything. I don't know. Like, I just really wasn't feeling it.
Dan's like, I just
I
want to
mean,
go
it was a
home.
great time. We had a great time.
And
But
I was just like, yeah, I was just like, I was in the moment. I enjoyed the architecture. I enjoyed the vibe there. And I was just like, well, we haven't, because I've been the same way in the past in cemeteries. I'm like, I don't feel like we got anything. And then we go home and it's like, we review our evidence and then we find things. So it's like, I kind of had to be that, that guy to, yeah, I had to be the voice of reason to her and be like, hey, hold on. Like, wait till we get home and review everything before we pass judgment about it.
so I think we didn't get to bed until about what, 3 o'clock. And was it like first thing in the morning?
Yeah.
I think it was like first thing in the
I think we
morning.
slept like 3 hours
Ugh.
and then started reviewing.
And then I like woke up, and so my phone and my iPad weren't quite syncing. So there was a time when everybody was in the basement where they did like the butchering and stuff like that. And I had gone up to the bathroom, and I'm like, all right, let me take my iPad that I had on me. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna just take some photos. So I'm sitting in bed because I had filmed a lot from my phone, and those were the only source of filming that happened. Nobody else really was recording.
Mhm.
So I went through and I'm like swiping through, and I don't remember if you were asleep or not. It's all kind of it all
I
blended
was
together.
let's just say I was almost asleep. I was
Okay.
almost hitting a. It was more like a whack to
Yeah,
the
I mean,
chest.
yeah. I was like, we got the best evidence ever. Like, I'm freaking out. So now I'm calling, the guy we had met there. I'm calling my photographer. Like, you got to look at this. You got to see this. Like, I think we caught like the best thing ever. And we had caught a photo. And all I was doing is like, and they tell you take back to back photos. And I am horrible at it. I wasn't that night. Thank goodness. Because when I went back, it was like I think there was 2 frames that it was caught in, and before and after there was nothing there. And it was this girl in a white dress with blonde hair. It looks like bangs. You can see the buttons down with the sash. I almost think she might have like a bow in her hair. And I'm looking, and she's in the window. It's clear as day. And so now I'm editing it, right? Like I'm darkening it, like I'm adjusting the lighting. I'm trying to see like, of course it wasn't like a live photo, I'm like pressing on it to try to, but I'm playing with the lighting to see if I can really get any distinct features. And like the more I played with it, the more I could see the eyes, the nose, the mouth looked kind of distorted. I believe it looks like a girl, you know, um, maybe around the age of 14 or so, like 12 to 14. But of course, now I'm texting, the woman I was in contact with from there. And I'm like, okay, like, what is underneath this? Is that where the well was, where they found the bone? Like, I'm trying to like figure out who this could be.
Yeah, who it is.
I'm looking at all the photos and the video on the outside of the building. I'm like, she would have had to been standing like what?
She would have to be at least 7 feet tall.
7 feet tall, but that still wouldn't like measure the body and the way it was in the window. I'm looking through the photos. I'm like, okay, well, there's a porch of like the bar across the street. But I'm like, that's not lining. I sat there trying to debunk this thing because I was like, there's just this is just too clear. I have not seen photos that clear, really. Not too often. And I think a lot of times we see a lot of people who try to find, I can never say the word pareidolia, where, there's the facial recognition, right? Your brain's trying to, there's that pattern piece. This was just, so of course I'm sending it to people that are kind of skeptic and I'm like, and they're like, holy cow, like, wow. And I'm like, all right, maybe I'm totally crazy here.
And I think that's what makes being like more of a skeptic. It makes the evidence that much better when you get something.
Yeah.
And when you go through you find your baseline, you go through, you eliminate all those variables that might cause something. So then when you actually get that evidence, you're like, this is amazing. Like I can't explain it. I can send it to you. You can't explain it. Or if somebody can, that's great. But like when we do get that footage, it's an amazing feeling knowing that you got something that you can't prove why it's there or why it exists.
Yeah.
It was incredible. I don't know. I still think it's one of the best pieces we got. So, and then the fun of doing that is I was doing Estes while the other gentleman, Anthony, was doing it. So I only remember the words that I was saying, but I didn't hear the dynamic of the questions. And if you watch the first episode, which is on YouTube of us there, we have a guest.
Hello.
You'll see how the 2 of us kind of play off of each other. And so he'll say something and then something comes right out of me. And it's almost like we're responding. And it's almost like you have 2 people. There's definitely like a power dynamic going on between the 2 of us. And there's actually 2 people asking questions. So his wife is next to him asking questions. Dan is sitting farther back in the room filming me asking questions. And so it's really interesting because it really was almost a cohesive dialogue in a few parts. And so it really, that again, going back to the whole reviewing the evidence, like we're heading back and looking at it and we're like, wow, there's something really here. So in the midst of finishing up that episode at the very end, we actually then caught a shadow. And so I'm sharing all this because when we went back the second time, I was in the mindset of we need to debunk this shadow. We need to debunk this photo. Like I want to hit every angle. So I purposely made sure when we went back the second time, which was with a different group of people, and that was kind of intentional. So we actually went back with Freemasons. So SK Pierce was a Freemason, and he would have meetings there in the home. And so we intentionally went back with Freemasons to see if things would be more comfortable speaking to them, or if there would be certain words or, experiences they would have that maybe myself and his buddy's wife, Melinda, we would or wouldn't have. So it was funny. Me and Melinda didn't have a lot of activity. We didn't have a lot of experiences. They had a ton. But me and Melinda spent at the very same around the same time frame that I got that photo of that girl. I purposely made sure the lighting in the house was the same, and me and her went from every angle, and we tried to debunk that photo, and we couldn't. And same with that shadow, we could not, even with the cars going by. We set up like we could not debunk those experiences. And so like that's the cool thing I think about being able to go back to a location. It's not just like a one and done. I don't think like even you could walk away and say, hey, I didn't have any experiences in that one time, and that doesn't mean it's not haunted. It just means that that night you just didn't get anything, and that's part of what we do. But the cool thing is we got stuff both times. So
And I will say, whichever spirits are there, they're definitely like jokesters or jokers, because every time you're about to turn on your camera, something will happen. But like, I can't even tell you how many experiences we had the last time we went where I stopped filming, went to move to another spot, and then like a flashlight turns on by itself, where you were in Sari's bedroom, we put a flashlight up on his bureau, getting the tripod ready, and then it turns on and off by itself. I'm like, come on, like. We've had like the first time Pat and I, we had a door to the widow's walk open on its own.
of course I'm like, was the cameras going? He's like, no, I didn't have my camera.
We had it going, but it was facing the room we were looking at and not the door. So
Of course, every time, like her flashlight, anytime I'm recording her, she's not going to turn it on.
mm-hmm.
But then I turn it off and I'm like, all right, whatever. And then boop, I'm like,
Really?
all right, rude.
Yeah.
So what did you capture the second time you were there?
Well, that's all you, because
you
got all the.
So
Yeah,
we had some interesting. We brought our friend Adam with us. He did an investigation in the basement in the kiln room. He had a lot of cat ball activity.
I love cat
That's
balls.
actually posted on our socials right now, and you'll see that.
I
on
saw
the
that one.
YouTube video. Yep.
So we had that. We also went up to the billiards room. I went and I was doing the Estes method, and then I had 3 of my friends with me that are master masons, kind of ask questions and have a conversation and see what kind of words were coming out in the spirit box, which, in asking them afterwards, and I'm sure it's going to be included in our video, like certain words and stuff were coming out that only a Freemason or a master mason would know. Things, conversations they might have, or things they might say to one another, or numbers that, there was a lot of symbolism behind some of the things that were being said. And I think that's really what we were hoping for that second time. I went in there not knowing a lot the first time, went into his pantry and found all these dishes with a square and compass on it. So I was like, he's a Freemason. I didn't know that. Well, let me talk to a few of my friends I know that are master masons and see if we get a different response. And I feel like we got exactly what we were looking for.
Wow.
All of us went down into the kiln room as well. We did some SD sessions down there. We had flashlights turn on and off multiple times on command. That'll be included in the video as well. So yeah, I think we had a great experience the first time, but then going back that second time, and like you brought up earlier, having that structured investigation the second time, I think.
And being intentional, like it was very intentional of like, we always had a floor between us. So there was always a buffer. Right. And then on top of there always being a buffer, like so I had a full schedule. We had a Zoom meeting before. You were going to be here. This is the questions. This is the equipment you're taking. Like my case management hat went on, and that's what we did. And so I was very intentional, like, okay, this particular room, like the nanny's room, she doesn't like men in there. So the men were not involved in that. It was just me and Melinda. The men, I think, were down in the basement at that time. It was very intentional that the men had alone time in the billiards room because that's where they would have meetings. It's very intentional that during the last time we were there, around that, I think 10:30 time frame, me and her were trying to recreate that photo. So I spent hours going through, reviewing evidence, looking at the timing of when things were happening. We also know that we're competing with a lot of outside variables. Outside, they have a bar or a pizza place. There's a lot of traffic and a lot of noise out there. We knew towards the end of the night, where we wanted to end in the billiards room, we're going to get a lot of contamination. So it is not good to then be trying to do EVPs in there, right? Like that's not going to be the time and place. And we found that out even the hard way with a few other spots. There's a lot of cars driving by. There's a lot of lights. So there were certain rooms that like we made sure like the blinds were shut, or we were just mindful of marking when cars were going by. You know, Melinda and I purposely went into the closet by ourselves to see if we could be trigger items. And so we had it set up. That's actually me and her got the most activity in there, and it was with flashlights turning on and off on command. We sat them under our chairs so they could kind of respond to us. You know, it was very, we walked away, I think, feeling just so excited. And like, I was already texting the group the next day. I was like, okay, guys, like, when are we going back? When are we doing another investigation? Because that particular group worked so well together. Maybe because I wasn't with you the whole night. I got to pawn you off on the guys and be with my girl.
She said, bye.
Yeah, that was very intentional because the idea was we both are the leads and we both know the equipment. So, you know, if we're going to split off, and especially like, again, the Masons are going to be in one group, the women are another, and we use those very, it was done very intentionally to try to control the environment, but also provide space for the spirits to feel more comfortable to interact. You know, having the men pile into the nanny's room was not going to be beneficial. We're not there to trigger them and piss them off. That's not our goal. You know, there was an interaction in the basement where I had to break the Nubians. He is so scared, and I love it. Shout out to Ray.
Poor Ray.
I have a whole reel of Ray's reactions of different investigations we've done with Ray.
Poor Ray.
Poor Ray.
I always just look at him and say, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I can't help you. It's my wife. I
He
can't help you.
keeps coming back though, so
Yep.
it's really on him at
I
this
haven't
point.
scared him off yet, right? So he's sitting there gripping his Bible, and they're down in the basement. And I said to Melinda, I'm like, hey, we had finished up, but they didn't come back up on the time frame of the schedule. So I was like, we got to go get them. So we go down, and I'm looking at her, and I'm like, you go around that side. I'm going to go around the other. I come around. The guys see me, so I'm like, turn your cameras. Of course, they're trying to get the guy doing Estes, but I'm like, no, catch me scaring poor Ray.
Mind you, we have flashlights going on and off, but she's really.
I was the convincing.
It was very important that we filmed her scaring our poor friend Ray.
Priorities. We're paying big money, right? So we go in, and I can't say big money, like they're very reasonable. Like people are looking for a reasonable space to be able to spread out and have, you know, groups in different spots. It really is great for that. If you ever come up, I would highly suggest like doing it because it is a more affordable location.
And you
I
need.
think we're super accommodating. You know, we said, hey, we don't want the tour the second time. We just want to jump right in. They were flexible with our timing. And
I feel like you need 3 trips though, at least 3 trips to cover the rooms, because like even going back our second time, we hit rooms we didn't hit the first time, and we still didn't really investigate every room of the house. We didn't investigate all the bedrooms.
No.
So like I think we could easily go back a third time and that would cover the house. But I want to say the house is 9,500 square feet. It's a big house.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, back to
Jeez.
that experience though. So we're down there. I scare him, but then I move to once we all get serious again, I move to the other side of the room, and I'm just standing there. Our buddy who's doing Estes, his whole posture changes. His chest kind of comes up and his head turns, and he's like looking right at me.
Does
and
he have
I
a
knew
blindfold
that,
on? Ooh, that's weird.
and it's in the basement, so he can't feel, you know, cement. He can't feel me walking. His whole demeanor changed. The words changed, the interaction changed. And it was probably the first time I will say I did somewhat challenge what was going on. I forgot what did he say? Was it like devil or Satan or I don't know, it was something evil sounding. And I was like, nope. And so there was a little bit of this power struggle and dynamic. And like I said, I typically don't put my spiritual hat on. I'm typically I try to be as measured and level-headed as possible. But in that moment, something in me was like, there's this power dynamic going on between the two of us. And then he switches and he turns and he looks right at Ray. And Ray had just, I think, read something from the Bible.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
And I would say, again, I didn't feel like it was dark, but there was a power struggle in that moment. It was a very interesting feeling. The whole room shifted. I mean, it was just kind of this weird feeling where we're all like, all right, we're not going to let this rock us. Like, again, we've never come across anything that we really truly feel at the end of the day is evil or demonic. I think there's bad people in the world. I think there's bad energy. And like, I'm not going to give you a label. I'm not going to allow you to give yourself a label in that space. Like we're just two energies and we're interacting, you know, an interaction that can be cordial. And I think that's kind of, it was this weird power dynamic of like, here's a female, she's challenging me, she's kind of pushing me to give answers. And then he turns, looks at our buddy, poor Ray, with his Bible and kind of gives him this, I don't know, how would you describe it?
I mean, honestly, I was filming, so I was just kind of watching
Yeah.
between the
You were doing-
flashlights, having him look directly at you, which was kind of creepy.
It was weird. It just,
That gave me
whole dyn-
chills.
it was just weird. Again, I don't want to give a label to it because I don't like giving power to that kind
It
of
just
stuff.
it seemed like probably an old, to me it seemed like probably a gentleman from the late 1800s, early 1900s, and like I think with women it was maybe just like, speak when you're spoken to, like nobody's talking to you, like
That's
kind of
probably
like lay off, like men are having a conversation.
And
So,
almost look at Ray like, are you going to do something about her?
yeah. Yeah. And then at the
I
same
think
time,
that's
we're all
exact-
considering like, I'm considering those things like, well, he was just reading from the Bible and she came in and scared him. Maybe she upset a spirit. Like those are things we always try to keep in mind when we're doing cemeteries, is like, we might be connecting with somebody who's very religious and doesn't find what we're doing okay. So like we've had things come through before, it's like dark or evil and this and that. So we're like, it could be a religious person. We've also two people that have worked extensively with people with serious mental health conditions. So it's like, I don't know, if I was in the afterlife, I might mess around and say, hey, I'm the devil or this or that. Or like I've had somebody tell me that is schizophrenic, like, hey, I'm the devil. And you're like, okay, man, like, all right, cool. Like,
Cool.
great.
But we wear stuff with skulls. He's got a planchette. I
Yeah.
have equipment that has like a protection rune on it. Who's to say they're not looking at that? Or maybe they are in tune to what my belief system is and think that it is demonic or the devil or,
Heck, my daughter thinks I worship the devil, so that's fun. And I'm like, okay, no, but okay. She's really religious, and I'm like, I'm not, but you know what?
Yeah.
To each their own.
Right. And I always say, like, I think there's, to the point of religion, I think there's a truth in every religion. I think we're more connected. I think, what is it? Like Omism is probably the closest to what I would say that I identify as. I think there you can pull a truth from everything. I think there's something to learn from everybody. So
Oh,
that's kind of
absolutely.
what I go in, but we're always mindful in those spaces that they're probably not as open or, as
Probably not.
flexible as.
And I just
Yep.
think that's part of our, part of like one of our mottos is humanize the grave. Like we feel like we're taught, like we're not going to come into a space and start shouting at the spirits to talk to us and try to intimidate them. It's like, no, like I'm talking to somebody's like parent or great grandparent. Like I want to talk to them the same way they would talk to me if I was passed, or if they were talking to somebody was talking to one of my loved ones. And so I think that also allows us to take that step back and with certain things and be like, all right, maybe we offended somebody by how we said something. So like her and I are very conscious of being, during our investigations, being like, if there's anybody who'd like to talk, we don't mean you any harm. We don't mean any disrespect. I know this might look crazy to you, or this might look inappropriate, but we're just trying to have a conversation. So,
And I always ask, is there anything we can do? What do you need?
yeah.
What do you need? You need anything? The other question we always ask, which is kind of interesting, is I always try to ask the question, what is it like where you are? Like, what does it look like? Where are you? And they're never really able to answer that conversation or answer that question.
There's like a mystery where it's like, but it's weird.
It's like
There's
an
almost like a gag order. Like you cannot talk about, like anytime we ask, yeah, we always get the kind of like, can't talk about it or don't want to talk about it. We've had one word come through in the spirit box before, which was love. But besides that, we haven't it's like something is telling them like, there's a rule in the afterlife. Like you're not allowed to talk about it.
I hate that shift. I have felt that shift before, and it's like, what just
happened? What did I just trigger?
I was sitting in here the other day, and it was before my interview on Monday, and I'm editing and I'm getting ready, trying to get in the zone and zone out and get in a good mood and do all that. You know what I mean? Because it's like the anxiety in my head. And I felt something like not rush me, but I felt it come into the room, and it was like it was right here. And I was like, you have to leave. I don't know who you are, but you're not. No, you have to leave. And it did. It pulled away and it left. And I was like, it comes with the job, when you're talking about this and you're talking to different people and you're exchanging different energy with a magnitude of people who go to all these places, it's bound to happen.
Right.
So did anything else happen after that?
No, we ended up, I think, tapping him out because he had been under for a while. And I was just kind of like, hey, buddy, we're not entertaining this. Like, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I cut it off
Yeah.
because I was like, has he been under it? And you go, yeah, he's been doing it for a while. So,
Yeah, because we like to tap people, we like to tap each other out, like, no more than 15 minutes.
I was
Because
about to ask how
yeah,
long?
anybody who's, anyone who's used the spirit box and done the Estes method with the headphones, like, it's a lot. It can get very chaotic. And I think in certain places in that house too, just with some of the interference we were getting, the S box was chaotic. Like, it was almost impossible to keep the headphones on because it was just, it made your skin crawl just with the
Mm.
noises that were coming through.
So I had that experience in the closet upstairs the first time that we were
Mhm.
there. And I actually had, originally it was both me and Anthony in the closet. I excused myself because I was like, this isn't working right. Like, he was getting a bunch of stuff coming through and I was just like, I can't even, it didn't sound right. Like, it
Mhm.
didn't sound normal. And I'm like, minute I would excuse myself, I went to the other part of the room. It was working fine, which is where I ended up setting up for that whole dynamic across the room. But then even when we went back the second time, same thing. I sat in that same spot because I was like, you know what? This is my sweet spot. We know I work well here. We know the male works well in the closet. So we ended up putting his buddy Caesar there. And so Caesar was there. I was on the other side of the room. But same thing. I had tried to use it earlier, and it was just acting funny. Who knows? There could be a reasonable explanation. We've never had it happen before. I haven't been able to recreate it. Doesn't mean it's, anything in particular, but like, I just,
Yeah, I mean, like, again, there could be duct work we don't know about. There could be electrical running through there. It might just be one of those spots with the construction materials where the radio waves aren't hitting correctly or something like that. So I think we tried to eliminate any
again, if I can't
yeah, any
control
chance
the
of it being
equipment,
something natural, but yeah, we really couldn't figure that one out.
no, if the equipment is not working how it normally would work, I am not going to use it as my baseline. We're going to eliminate it because then it's not dependable.
So-
It's like when your REM pod just starts going off and off and off. I have to say, have we changed the battery?
Mhm.
Can we move it to another part of the room? Is
Right.
it
Let's
is
switch to cat balls or let's switch to a flashlight. Let's layer our evidence.
Yeah, we're all about layering. So it's like if we're having
I
something
love that.
happen with one thing, I want to try to get another layer of event. So can you touch the cap's ball? Can you touch the flashlight? Can you now set off the REM pod? I want to see, are you able to move, right? Because if things are sensory related, touch, the idea is you should be able to go between a cat ball, theoretically,
Mhm.
or possibly the flashlight. With the piece that we already posted that will be a part of the YouTube video for that is you'll see when Adam is interacting in the basement, it's like, can you go to that cat ball? You've done this one, but can you do that one now? And it does. So it's again, can we and maybe it's residual, right? Like maybe, and that's why again I structured things a second time a certain way. People were in certain parts of the house at certain times. Can we recreate what was happening? Or is this just a fluke? Is it something that is residual, just kind of passing through? We don't know. And that, who knows? Maybe that picture I got was just paranormal.
I think so.
That's kind of our inside joke now. It's like, I'm like, can you believe it? It's like, maybe it's paranormal. that I think was paranormal.
I think
Bad
you need
idea.
a new shirt that says that. Maybe it's paranormal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we do say that quite a bit, especially with our friends Melinda and Craig. Anything will happen, something will fall over, and we'll be like, probably paranormal.
Maybe.
Or hey, could be paranormal.
Well, question. What is the significance of the closet?
So allegedly, they have had mediums and psychics share that they believe that women and children were being sexually assaulted in that space. We have not been able to find any documentation around that. Me and Melinda, when we went in there, so the first time I went, in January, I spent some time in there alone. And as a sexual assault survivor, I wanted to challenge the perpetrator, but also create a safe space to talk to the victims. And so, I engaged in it, and that never got posted because that was a very private conversation that I had in that space. But I wanted to challenge what was going on and see, hey, you okay with what happened in here? How dare you? Like, that's pretty disgusting. Like, how dare you do that? And just see, would it solicit any sort of response? And it didn't. Nothing happened. And then when Melinda and I were in there the second time and we have the two flashlights set up under us, the dynamic was much different. it was like, we have this thing called girl code now. Do you know what girl code is? Girl code is where we take care of each other. We stand up for one another. Women, don't allow this to happen to other women. We're having that kind of conversation. And then we were getting responses. I don't know if that's what happened in there or not. I couldn't find anything that is true to that. But then that second interaction again kind of flip-flopped. I went from thinking, did something really happen in that space too? Maybe something was. I don't know. I mean, it's not really the Freemason way. So if that was happening, was it happening after he?
Or was it happening for a period of time? The place changed hands a few times. It started as just a regular mansion.
Right.
Then, it was a boarding house at one point. So we don't,
That's what I was
and,
wondering.
and those are the questions we asked, and no one no one could really give us a clear answer. Like,
Mhm.
hey, what period of time was this that it happened? So with all the research we ended up doing, I couldn't find anything stating that
I
anyone.
mean, it didn't.
Yeah, we
Right.
just don't know, and who knows when it happened. And at the same time, I don't want, people are very quick to, turn on masonry and be like, oh, well, they were probably doing something evil or something in there. And it's like, no, there's something could have happened there when it was a boarding house. It could have, there were servants' quarters there. There's a lot of different things. We can't just paint it all with a broad brush. So,
And I don't know much about it. I know I did like a minute and a half little blurb like I used to do. Life is busy and I can't do those anymore, but I need to do those again because I loved them because I learned about all these places, but I keep hearing hideaway in my head for some reason. I don't know. I don't know, but that's what I just keep hearing hideaway. Like maybe it was someplace that they hid somebody, like who knows? Who knows? Who knows? But
It's a big closet. And I've made the point that in a lot of the spaces in that house, like there weren't a ton of closets. Like, and there's certain rooms, there's only kind of like little nooks for clothes, or the closets are very small. So maybe, I don't know,
well, back
you
in the
know,
day, they didn't have clothes like we do.
right, right. Like even in the servants' quarters, there's one little closet, but that was where,
the cistern is.
right. So it just didn't quite, I
It's
don't know.
weird. It's like, why is this so big in here? What was this? What did it used to be?
Yeah.
Right. Did they have wardrobes, right? Like a lot of those like cedar, because a majority of the furniture and stuff in there is not original.
Right.
So they could have had it set up any old way,
Yeah.
dresser.
And our other thought too was, it being a place where the men would meet and there were Mason meetings going on. Was that closet just used, did they keep things for whatever rituals they were doing in that closet? And it's, people were quick to say, oh, whatever, that closet's evil or whatever's going on in there is evil. Who knows? It could be a story that kind of just spiraled out of control.
Right.
But I didn't get any sort of vibe. I don't think any of us stepped in that closet and felt anything negative.
Okay.
Oh, you agree?
No, I didn't feel anything in there. I figured being somebody who was a survivor, like maybe I would.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, go ahead. I mean, I didn't release this part, but I was like, go ahead, touch me. You like touching people? Go ahead. What are you gonna do? I'm giving you go ahead.
Yeah, I think we all did that at one point, was just all antagonize them.
Just
See
to
it.
think, like, is this legit? Like, are the stories here legit? I don't know.
Abusers, like I'm a assault survivor as well. Mine, the moment I gave in and I was just like, whatever, do whatever you want, get it over with, he stopped. It's all about control. So if you're like offering yourself up, he's gonna be like, that's not what I want.
Mm,
It's all about control. It's all about fear. It's all
Mhm.
about what
That's a
can they
good
get
point.
from you. And if you're offering yourself up, it's like, I don't want you. That's not
yeah,
what I
I'm gonna
want.
challenge it.
yeah.
Right.
I like where the mind was at on that one. Like maybe your third time you go back and you're like, don't touch me.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want that.
Right. We did have actually that is to a good point. We did have an experience. So I was with two gentlemen upstairs, and we were in SK Pierce's bedroom, and we were doing the Estes session, and we were experimenting. Can he sit there and hold like the dowsing rods wall? We realized that was a no-go. It's very hard. Which goes to prove, I think, even when you think you're holding them still, that you may not be.
Yes.
But it was an experiment. We're like, let's try. We've never done this before. Let's just
Right.
see. Can you hold them still while blindfolded? He, again, poor Ray. Poor Ray all of a
Ray.
sudden felt, I know, he felt like somebody was like, had his hands like on like his legs. And so like in the video, I'm like, you need to take your hands off now. You need to stop. I think the camera actually cuts out at that point because we have a camera that's set up to thermal. So our buddy Adam switched his to thermal to see, like, could I see anything going on there? But I'm getting pretty much like, nope, you don't have permission. You want to come touch me? Come touch me. I'm not afraid of you. Ray might be. I'm not.
It's like,
So come on over to me. Come hang out with me. But I figured, hey, I'm a female. I'm in his bedroom. Like maybe I would be the target. I tried doing SDs, not much came through. But poor Ray.
poor
Ray
Ray.
got touched. I know Adam said when he had gone home, he had an experience where he thought he was touched on the head. And, you know, he did what he had to do. And he hasn't had, to our knowledge, any experiences since. You know, of course, I offered my services. I was like, hey, come take care of that for you. But yeah, no, poor Ray seemed to have,
It's because he's scared.
I wonder, like but I think, is that why maybe Melinda and it takes a lot for Melinda and I to get shooken up. We're both very, I think very skeptical. And, you know, we even one point we started with her actually in the tower by herself, just doing a basic EVP session, just
They
sitting
have
up
a
there.
tower?
They had like a widow's walk at
So you could
walk up.
oversee his factory.
Nice.
It's cool up there. It's a spiral staircase. She didn't get anything. She didn't get any evidence while she was up there, but we figured, you know, I put it out there to the group. Who's willing to be by themselves in certain spaces? And Adam volunteered and Melinda volunteered. So we sent them off and into their spots. And it was cool though, because we were like I said, for the most part, the women and men, other than that first session where I was with the two guys, the men were together, the women were together.
And then we
And
met
then free time that like I scheduled at the very end. And that free time was, you can go anywhere in the house, obviously let each other know. So we're trying not to contaminate, but let's go back to whatever hot spots we want to hit again. So like the men wanted to definitely go back up to the billiards room. Melinda and I had not done the billiards room. So that's when me and her went up, did the closet session. And then they joined us after for the last maybe 45 minutes. And that was probably at the end, we all walked away and we're like, we should have done this from the beginning. But again, we were trying to space out.
Mm-hmm.
We were trying to, there's so much room. You're
There's
trying to
so
cover,
much.
right. We're trying to cover more, you know, more room, more of the spaces that we just had to hit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was interesting. It was definitely interesting. So now I think if we all went back as a group, I think we would all start in that room together. Maybe right after the sun goes down, you know, being summer now, you know, we would have to probably do it around 9 or so. But I think we would probably have a good interaction in that space. You know, I'd be curious, you know, do we have the same sort of response? Because that was the response we had in the first time we went, is we had the entire group in that space together and we were getting a lot. So
It's a meeting room.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's what they did.
and
there
there could just be energy charge there. May
Yeah.
not even be intelligent. You know,
Yeah.
stuff coming through could be conversations and we're just the channels for that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think anything's possible.
If it's a
I don't
billiard
doubt anything
room,
else.
Yeah, people play pool in there. They spent a lot of time in there, so I'm
they
sure there's
laughed. They got
Yeah.
up. They were talking. They were, you know, wasn't anything serious. They were probably drinking and just having a good time. And that's, you know, and then you come in there and there's a lot of you and y'all are talking. And, you know, I fully believe, just in my very limited knowledge, that when you go in and you're just having a good time, that energy is just as good as just, what year did you die?
Yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. Or shouting at them. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Pull a Zach Bagans. Who are you? Show yourself.
Yeah, that guy. Oh, I was going to ask you
Hey,
a question.
we all got our own styles, right?
You got that right. I am the worst investigator. I love to go, but I want to be in bed by like 10:30. I love sleep, you know?
That's me. By like 12 o'clock, I'm getting a headache. Though there, I just wanted to keep your adrenaline's going. Like the space is cool. But we've been in spaces where he's off investigating and I'm like, I'm just gonna sit in here and just run an EVP session. And
Have
meanwhile, I'm like,
fun,
yeah.
bye.
Yeah, or she's like, "Hey, we're bringing the air mattress with us," and I'm like, "I'm not sleeping. Like, you can sleep. I'm not sleeping for this."
Thing is, I don't sleep well.
I don't either.
So I might as well just lay there and get comfy because I'm probably not going to sleep. So if I'm going to experience something, maybe I'm more vulnerable laying down. I don't know. I'm always trying to put myself, I'm like, send me in solo. Like I want to, and again, that goes back to challenging that fear response. Can I control what my mind is telling me? Because when you are able to master that, that's a real sweet space to be in, you know,
Yeah.
in life and in the paranormal.
Oh, you got that right. See, when I'm at the Crescent, I feel like it gives me like good energy. Like I can go until 3 a.m. and not even be tired. But other
Mhm.
locations, I'm like, how much longer? So That's why I'm a podcaster, because I can control my schedule by like
Yeah.
8:30. I'm done. Usually I don't take many evening. I save them like maybe one or two a month because, I can.
Yeah. I mean, we've always said we kind of like investigating during the day.
I prefer it actually. I have more activity during the day with my spirits in my house than I do at night. Like they're old. They go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we like to see what's the lay of the land.
Mhm.
Like we've gone to cemeteries at night first and then hit them during the day. And we've been like, oh, this looks different. The feel is different. And then we've done it the other way around where it's like you kind of look around and get the lay of the land. And then at nighttime, or dusk and dawn, it looks a little different,
Oh yeah.
I think the only time I've really gotten spooked out is we were in a cemetery once and it's surrounded by woods and there's a lot of wildlife. So I was sitting there like, there was beavers back there.
Beaver.
And so like, I was like, is there a coyote? Is there a bear? Like, I'm not worried about people. I'm not worried about the dead. I'm worried about the wildlife.
We're worried about them beavers.
Right.
They got some
Yeah,
big
she's like,
teeth.
what? Yeah, what is
Big
that? What
elk.
is that? And I would like look down and I'm like, there's water right there, and I see eyes, and I'm like, really carefully, and I'm like, oh, those are beavers. They're not coyotes or
We're good.
anything nothing that's gonna hurt us or
Well,
should hurt us.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
woods, though, woods are creepy, especially at night. When like I was telling my girls, I just took them to our cabin up in North Carolina, and one of my daughters goes, "Don't whistle at night," because we're in the mountains that go up into Appalachia. We're in the Blue Ridge, but we connect to Appalachia.
Mm-hmm.
And we were off the Blue Ridge Parkway, and my other daughter's like, "Why?" And then she proceeds to whistle, and me and my other daughter were like, "No, no,
No whistling.
don't whistle." And it was nighttime, and thankfully we were inside, but still, there's some windows that we don't have curtains on at that cabin because it's like 2 stories high. But still, if it's something, hello, kitty, I love it. Little cat tax. The cat's like, "Here's my butt.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
She's like, you're supposed to be in bed.
Why aren't you sleeping?"
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I'm like, I don't like the woods at night. They're creepy. And then, where I start talking about Bigfoot because they're asking me questions. And then they ask me about what am I scared of? I said, about the only thing that scares me are elementals. Those scare me. The things of the land, the things that were
Mhm.
never alive, the things that Native Americans speak of, those are the things that scare me. And
Yeah.
where we went it was really impacted by Hurricane Helene. And I've been going there for almost 20 years. And this trip was different. This was like the first time I've been back since the hurricane went through the area. And tons of people died. The trees fell uphill, which I cannot make that make sense. The trees fell uphill. I don't understand, but the land is different than it was. And it feels like all that pain, all that suffering. And it was just, we pulled up and my girls are like, "It's eerie." And I was like, "It is." So like they didn't want to get out of the car. So I got out of the car, opened the door, and I'm like, "Okay, come on." And so they kind of like run in, but it's just the things of the land are what scare me the most.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree. We haven't come across, I mean, at least I haven't come across it yet, but with reading and research and definitely watching things, yeah,
Mhm.
I agree with you. Like that's something I'm just kind of like, it creeps me out a little bit just because I'm like, well, you're never alive. Are you, you know, if you are malevolent, why are you malevolent? Like what made you this way, or why were you created this way? Who
Mhm.
created you? So yeah.
And sometimes they generate from the land the pain and the suffering of the land. It's like just the energy of what's happened. And I don't know. I'm definitely not an expert on that, but it just makes me real nervous when they've never been alive.
Right. Because you can conceptualize a human spirit,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you can like put yourself in the mindset of something that,
Right.
They were someone just like me.
right.
Yeah.
Like they could be
Right.
an evil, bad person. I can still conceptualize some of that.
Mm-hmm.
But when they're not, that's a whole nother.
Yeah, that
That's a whole
raw
nother-
energy.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't think we really
Mm.
understand the concept of it.
No,
Yeah.
no. Skinwalkers. That's like the one thing that
Yeah, that's another thing I don't
But I would love to really sit and sit with folks that have had experiences that
Mhm.
are, part of those communities and hear their stories and
Yes.
get their take. Like I haven't dove enough into that rabbit hole
I haven't
yet.
either. I avoid
That
it.
would be very interesting.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if I want to. I probably will, but one day. But yeah, I don't know if I want to on
Yeah.
that.
Or what is it? The other the children with the black eyes or
Black-eyed kids.
the black-eyed kids. That's another one that kind of, like just the work that I do, I would be the first one to let the kid into my house. Like and I
Dan's
know
like,
better.
"Hell
And I
no."
still
I answer the door. Nope.
Black-eyed kids are creepy. I wanted to do an episode on them, and then I don't know, it just
like, are you opening that door?
exactly, and it's like, you know what? I'm extremely sensitive to
Don't
things.
open the door.
I don't wanna there's some doors I just don't want open, so I have let that one go. Maybe one day, but yes, I those any kinda like cryptid creature, like, one of my friends, he's a podcaster as well, his name's John, he is the host of Myths, Monsters, and Mullets, and
Mm.
he had an experience with the rake, and it was like it's him reliving that story had him in tears. He was, I mean, still all this time later, it shakes him to his core where he'll just tear up. He starts getting really emotional. And he sent me pictures. It was 4 fingers where it reached out and drug its fingers down the side of his truck. And he swerved to miss it. It was like coming out of the asphalt on the ground. And his wife, he's like, of course she wasn't looking. She was like placing a Walmart order. And when he swerved, she like jumped up and she's like, what was that? And he's like freaking out. So when he went out the next day and looked at his truck, he saw those things. I don't have those pictures. It is, and ugh, that kind of stuff scares me.
Abductions. That's the other one that
Mm.
partially there's a part of me that come on, aliens, please come take us. It's got to be better
Is
than
it
what some of
time
the
yet?
right. But then there's that other part of me because I just have so many different theories about aliens and gods and goddesses, and I think there's overlap. But hearing people's abduction stories,
Mm-hmm. You know
and
what
like
hit
you were just
me?
talking about touching on the fear, like when you hear them and you see them completely reliving it in their body, and
Mhm.
that probably maybe that's why I had such a fear of ET when I was a kid. I literally anything that would cast a shadow that looked like ET's finger. My parents would tell you, I wouldn't
Mhm.
sleep because I was mortified of these little finger. And ET is a cool guy. He's a cool dude.
I was gonna
Feels
say
like a
I
fun
liked
home.
DT a lot as a kid.
But it was as a kid, I could not conceptualize
Yeah.
something that wasn't an animal and wasn't human.
Right. Yeah.
Watch
Yep.
now I'm gonna have little ET fingers. I'm gonna start seeing them again.
You're just gonna everything's gonna be ET or a finger, and you're gonna be like,
Right.
oh no,
Go home.
go home, ET,
Go
go
phone
home.
home.
I'm gonna have to get a little light from my finger.
I know.
Oh gosh, he's gonna
Ugh.
in the middle of the night. You're gonna just see this. What kills me are those group like when it's like mass abductions, when it's like a town and they're all recounting the same thing. That's like okay,
Yeah.
how is
Right.
that possible? If it didn't happen, how is that possible?
Right. Or how they'll go missing for days and then
That I was
days
gonna say that
later.
the Travis Walton story has always interested me and freaked me out because when I don't know if you know the story, he was a logger. I forgot what state they were in, but they were out one night after finishing their day, and it was a group of them that all logged together. They had a ship, I guess a ship landed or whatnot. He went up to the ship and he disappeared, and he was gone for more than a day. I think he was gone a couple days, and I think the sheriff just thought they were rabble rousers. They were causing trouble, that this was all a hoax. So they ended up giving guys all polygraphs and they all passed. But they've interviewed some of the guys. And I know one of the guys, I don't know if he was the driver of the truck. When they have him relive it, he's sobbing like a little baby. Like you could see him, he's shaken to the core and like something happened, but
Yeah.
we don't know what it. And then even, Travis talking about his experience, you're like, I just can't believe that you're making that up. Like there's some truth to this. Like just looking at looking at his condition and how he's reacting to reliving it.
Something happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And both of our jobs are to read people.
Mhm.
So I think when we're looking at someone going, yeah, there's something here. Like that I don't know. It just sits differently.
Yeah.
And I think that's when people share their stories with us about any paranormal, it's, any paranormal experience. That's what we're kind of looking for. We're looking for that, like, wow, you can see that someone's eyes start to dart. You can see them start to shake. You can see them start taking, heavier swallows. And you're like, they're really shaking. Like this had a profound effect on them.
Is there consistency in the story?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, my grandmother, God bless her, is 92, and she grew up,
You got to have her on your
she
podcast.
she grew up in Virginia. She's a little Southern belle. She tell you she grew up on the 37th parallel, experienced some weird things growing up.
Alien.
But she always talks about, and still to this day with, having dementia, she'll tell you the same story about little creatures coming into her room when she was a kid, when she was only like maybe 2 years old, and she was in like a crib, and they would come in and they would gather around her and observe her and do experiments on her. And she said, she always remembers when they put their hands close to her face, she would black out, and then she would wake up the next day.
And then she would talk about praying mantises, how her father would
Yeah, like,
stay away from those. So she always had like a weird fear, but like as she got older, she's studied with Buddhist monks and
yeah,
Oh,
like,
wow.
I think she's part of the reason I got into the paranormal. It's just all the stories, and I was always the guy who's like, "Tell me." The rest of the family's like, "We don't want to hear the stories. Like, stop talking."
yeah, me and him are
Oh,
like,
my father and my
More.
grandfather would be like, "Stop talking about it," and I'd be like, "Give it to me, all of it." Like, I will. Yeah, I
Enough
don't
with
have
your
to
dad.
believe it. So yeah,
no, she's a very wise woman and just she has studied some pretty cool
That's
stuff.
awesome.
but the fact that she's in the shape she is, and she still tells that same
Yeah.
story, the same exact wording, everything, I'm like, there's got to be some truth to this.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I've told my story so many times about my haunted house, and I'm like, I think there's only like two things that happen that give me emotion, but now it's just like I'm reading a book. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
they're in the moment, it was so scary because it was so much. I mean, I could not recover. It was day after day after day after day. And it was just like, I'm mentally exhausted. And so when I lived there and I was telling the story, I was way more emotional. But now I'm out of that house and I'm like, hey, you want to hear about my haunted house? But yeah, I know it's exactly what you mean. When somebody gets so moved and they react like that, it's powerful.
Especially when they haven't had any sort of traumatic experience besides that. Like
Agreed.
you were saying, when you live in a haunted house and it's happening to you every day, I think there is probably a part of you that gets a little hardened, and you're like, "Yep, I mean, this is just another day for me in my life." Whereas, like, for
It-
somebody else, it might be like, they saw one thing in a haunted house one day, and
Mhm.
yeah, that probably impact them the rest of their life.
Yeah, I had a candle thrown at me. My response was, "Did you just throw a candle at me?"
Like,
And
who throws a candle?
he's such a bitch. What are you doing? But yeah, like I would tell people and they're like, why don't you move? I'm like, I have a family of 5
Yeah.
and where am I supposed to go? Like, I can't just leave. This is real life. This is not what you see in the movies. Like, I have a mortgage.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah, people. And I had a 2.6 interest rate. And at the time
Nope.
when all this was happening, like the market went crazy and the interest rate shot up to 6. So it's
Nope.
like,
I'm
no,
not leaving.
we're not leaving. This is my
We will
house.
figure this out. We
Yeah,
will
like,
have family mediation.
and if you leave
I gave
in a
him a
way, like,
bedroom.
they win.
Yeah, I just gave him a room and that made him happy.
Heck,
I mean, not happy. I wouldn't say happy. It made him, he left us alone. He wasn't like targeting us anymore. We'd still have experiences, but once I stopped trying to push him out, he stopped being a giant asshole.
do you think it was like a past owner?
Yes, his name is Wayne. He died in the
Okay.
kitchen. He built the house.
Okay.
Yeah. I know all about him. Oh, I know all about him. He
Mm.
was an asshole in life and he was an asshole in death.
I was gonna say, usually if they are in life, they usually are in death.
Yep. He hated women. He hated kids. He hated animals. And I brought all of them in and he hated strong willed women. So whew. He loved my husband, though. He loved Daniel. And I always told Daniel, even before I investigated the house, I was like, he likes you. And my husband, it's just a bug. I'm like, no, no, no. This guy likes you. And I think I figured out why he likes Daniel so much. But, can't prove it. But I think he just really liked Daniel.
I mean, it's easy. It's kind of easy to like Daniels. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah. I mean, we both married. Or is your
Yeah.
name Daniel?
Yeah, my name's
Okay,
Dan.
see, my Daniel doesn't go by Dan. Like I was joking once. I'm like, do you go by Dan or Danny? And he's like, no. And I went, what about Danny boy? And he's like, never call me that. And I was like, whoa, okay, hot button, got it.
Danny and Danny Boy can be like, only certain people can call me Danny. Like a couple of my brothers and a couple of my really close friends. If not, somebody's like Danny, and I'm like, you didn't earn that.
Who
Like,
are you?
don't call me that. If I hear Daniel, then it's like it's either my mom or my wife, and I'm in trouble.
Huh? Yeah,
So-
Daniel. My Daniel knows when he's in trouble because I was like, Daniel Scott, and he's like, Lord.
And he's
You're a Daniel Stone.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Is Stone your middle name?
Stone's my middle name.
Oh, well, that's cool. That's a
Yeah.
cool middle name.
Right?
Yeah, I'm happy with it. It's a family name um that I inherited. I was supposed to be a girl, so I
I was supposed to be a
inherited.
boy.
Well, there you go. I was supposed to be, I think, an Emma instead of a Dan.
David.
Oh, hey, that's my dad's name.
That's my dad's name. Okay.
Oh, really? Crazy.
Oh,
All right.
wild.
Well,
My dad's a Don.
hey.
While we're on the D word,
Hey, Don. How you doing, Don?
shout out to Detective Don.
Detective Don? Oh, I love that. I love like alliteration like that. Detective
Mhm.
Don.
Yeah. He's
Is
kind
he
of a badass.
Is he still a detective?
No, he does investigations for the state for folks that are disabled. So he
Oh.
goes in and makes sure, if there's allegations, he goes in and does the investigation for folks that have intellectual disabilities.
Oh.
So he just shifted gears. He was a special
Yeah.
victims unit detective, primarily children, and then moved over and now protects the disabled.
Well, Detective Don is an Earth Angel. Look at that.
He is. He's my superhero.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it. My dad's retired and he plays golf all the time, but I love him too.
Yeah.
Your dad couldn't handle being retired. He lasted like a week.
He did, and then he got another job.
Well, I worked with a lot of agents and detectives and such, and
They're
they
wired different.
are because when I worked for the federal court, we have CSOs. That's what they call them, CSOs, court security officers, and they are all retired state
Yes.
Yep.
law enforcement officers. Like
Yep.
they retired, they got bored, and now they work. And well, I don't know if they enjoy it. I haven't worked there in over a year, so they did. So, but yeah, they can't stop. They are wired a lot differently. Like me, I don't work. This is what I do now, and I'm like, there's days, and if I don't have a recording and I'm caught up on editing, my ass gonna sit in that recliner and I'm going to lean back and I'm going to play my little video game on my phone and have something running in the background. And I'm just not even paying attention, but I'm listening. So,
Yep.
well, is there anything else you wanted to touch on?
Well, we do have the SK Pierce YouTube video for our second round that folks will be able to watch. And really kind of going into the summer, we're gonna
have a presentation coming out
Yeah.
for we did our local Masonic Lodge. We're going to have a presentation coming out with our investigation that we did there. Some of the awesome evidence we got.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know we are going to, the game plan is to interview some folks that worked at a school up here. So we're by UConn. Yay, go Huskies. So we have a school that is owned by them. It was an old training school. It's called Mansfield Training School, but it's a spot that when we first started, we would just go and the grounds are open. You can walk around the outside the building. It's
I think it started as like a school for the feeble-minded. So you can imagine the kind of stuff that happened there,
Gotcha.
as well as the state hospital. So you can imagine the kind of things that happen there.
Yeah.
It's a very, very cool campus stuff
Yeah.
with a lot of history.
Yeah. So we actually, weirdly, one of my dear friends from here in town, her mother actually used to work there. And her mother is very much into, shout out to Kathy.
Hey, Kathy.
She is very much into this stuff. And so our game plan is to interview her and, just do a little bit of history on the experience there. Again, kind of tying back to our whole humanize the grave. We really just want to bring a human element back into the paranormal. Everything is so sensationalized and so
Yes.
dramatized. And these are real people with real lives. And I think the best way to honor them is not to, yes, I love making content and I love being entertaining, but to a point, not at the expense of exploiting people in
Yep.
situations. And so I think
also we want to make sure that like one of the things that we really believe in is like making sure that good people don't get forgotten.
Yes.
We don't know where a lot of the people that were abused, people died at that hospital. We don't know where they ended up. We don't know
God.
where there's no cemetery nearby that we know that these people were buried. So it's like we want to make sure, if we can do a video and go do an investigation and then, in a way dedicate that to those people and
Yeah.
try to, give them a voice, then that I don't know, that gives us some satisfaction as a team.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. I love that so much. Oh, that's how I feel about like the Crescent. I always mention the Crescent because that is literally my favorite place. But that is something
Mhm.
that we were talking about. I was talking about that with somebody, Thomas Gloom. He is a horror novel author as well as a podcaster. We were talking about that. It's more than just the place. It's more than just the paranormal stuff. These were people's lives. These were people's deaths. Usually this is the worst thing that's ever happened to them. Like in these locations, they were tortured, they were forgotten, they were put behind closed doors and just left to suffer. And then, we all rush in there and what year did you die? And blah, 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 blah. And sometimes they might be forgotten that these were actually real life people. These were moms and dads and grandparents, and they died tragically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
That's what we try to keep in mind every investigation we do, every new spot we go. And just kind of keep that in mind when we're, trying to get evidence and carry out the investigation.
yeah.
Yeah. Our very first episode we put out on our YouTube channel, we partnered up with our buddy Adam, who came with us to SK Pierce, and he cleans, the graves. He goes to
He
the
remediates
headstones.
headstones.
Yeah. And so we actually went, there's a huge
One of the oldest
cemetery.
organized cemeteries
It's right by Yale.
in New England.
And so we went up there and we did a segment with him, and that's another thing that's going to be coming out, is our game plan is to work with him and actually go out and have us film him and show the process and what that is like, and kind of talk about it. And the cool thing about it is, I'll let you tell the story about Gurley Cemetery and how that.
We just are, a friend, we started talking to our friend Adam. He told us, we had mentioned we're getting into the paranormal. He mentioned this cemetery that's right near that training school. So we checked it out. That's where she got creeped out late at night, because there's nothing around there. You can't.
You just hear the cows mooing.
Yeah. So he had us go out there, and right from the start, I started getting weird things coming through, like, like I'm related to somebody there. And I'm like, I'm not related to anybody here. And somehow just exploring there once, we were drawn to it. I don't know how many times, probably at least 10 times we've been there now. And it's just one of our favorite places to go. And then one day I just happened to be I do a lot of genealogy work and find a grave work. And so I happened to just look it up, and like 4 or 5 of my ancestors are buried there. I had no idea they were buried there. No one ever
And they
told
were
me.
Gurleys, and the cemetery is named after them, and the spot in one of the very headstones that he has worked on are the Gurley family. So
Wow.
weird, right? Like,
Wow.
Yeah.
these weird connections that happen in this world. And so that's the cool part about this work.
Yeah. And I'll go through, and on my platform I'll build them their own profiles. If we connect with somebody, and if they're not on Find a Grave, I'll take a picture of the grave and add it to Find a Grave. And that's my way of just saying, like, hey, thank you for that. Thank you for taking the time out of your afterlife to talk to us and have this experience with us. This is the least I can do for you. Like, nobody
Wow.
should be forgotten.
Well, I love that so much. That is beautiful. You'll have to send me all of the links for all your stuff so I can include it in the show notes. So if that way people
Absolutely.
want to go and check it out, they can. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Okay, so you can find us on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and then you can also head right to perceivedparanormal.com. Everything's on there. We have blog, we have photos of some of our stuff, and we just kind of highlight the work we're doing. If we're doing any local events, we've partnered up with local businesses and we've done presentations and whatnot. So if we have any upcoming events, those will be on there as well. But yeah, you can find us on all the socials.
Yeah. And people can reach out, especially using our website. They can contact us if, they have experience.
perceivedparanormal@gmail.com.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
Love it. I love it. Guys, go check them out. Go show them all the love. And while you're there, make sure you're following me, Ghost Gossip, Ghost Gossip Pod, and Ghost Gossip Podcast, and email all your Ghost Gossip to ghostgossip247@gmail.com. And y'all, if y'all aren't subscribed to me and Perceive Paranormal, go and smash that subscribe button. There is no reason you shouldn't. And so, yeah, go do that and I'll wait. Thank you. Anyway, until next time, they'll see you later. Oh, my nose piercing's itching today. Always makes me look like I'm picking my nose, but it's just itching. My husband told me that nostril is bigger than my other nostril now, and now I have a new complex. And he's trying to take pictures up my nose. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Now I have a nostril complex.